Once upon a time, a brave group of adventurers faced off against a fearsome dragon. Leos, their leader, tried to reassure everyone that they were ready for the battle, but deep down, he knew they were in trouble. They were hungry, tired from losing their way due to a map error, and then falling into a trap that cost them days' worth of food. While the others fought, Leos pondered that they'd need to retreat once the dragon was defeated. Suddenly, Fallon, one of their companions, pushed Leos aside, just as he was about to be attacked. Leos, distracted, didn't realize until too late that she had saved him. Tragically, Fallon was then captured by the dragon. Shocked by their defeat, Leos found himself outside the dungeon, saved by a spell from Fallon. But Fallon was missing, presumably eaten by the dragon. Despite his desire to rescue Fallon, Marcel, another member of the group, revealed they had lost everything in the dungeon. To make matters worse, Chilchuck, a small companion, delivered news that two others had quit to join a different party. Facing financial struggles and their own hunger, Leos considered selling their gear for lighter supplies. But time was ticking, and Leos worried about Fallon's safety. Unable to ignore their empty stomachs, they headed to a nearby village for food. Leos then proposed a plan. Marcel and Chilchuck would leave the group, so they decide to sell their gear, and Leos plans to head back to the dungeon alone. His friends think he's lost his mind, but Leos believes it's the best choice. He doesn't want to risk their safety because of his mistake. Chilchuck wants to go to help with traps, and Marcel insists on joining to save Fallon. Leos is touched by their loyalty and makes sure they're sure about it. As they return to the dungeon, Leos explains they can find food inside. His friends are skeptical, but Leos reasons that the dungeon has its own ecosystem, with monsters eating each other. He suggests humans can find food too. Though his friends aren't thrilled about eating monsters, Leos reminds them of their past adventures and how some monsters look tasty. Marcel disagrees, citing the dangers of eating dungeon monsters. But Leos argues that people hunt monsters for food. Marcel points out they're often criminals or end up sick from it. Their debate is interrupted by some newbie adventurers chased by a small monster. While Marcel stops them, Leos grabs the monster, suggesting they eat it for lunch. Marcel refuses, and Chilchuck questions if eating a mushroom monster is wise for their first meal. Fortunately, Leos has a trusty dungeon food guide, which recommends the mushroom monster as a good choice for beginners. Despite its worn appearance, Leos is excited about the find. However, Chilchuck is concerned about the guide's condition. Leos, wishing for more ingredients, hears some scorpions nearby. We learn that the dungeon, once a peaceful cemetery, became bustling with adventurers and merchants after being connected to the village 6 years ago. Monsters now roam the dungeon, attacking intruders as if protecting something. Leos locates a scorpion monster, handling it like a crayfish, much to Marcel's annoyance. He defends himself, but Chilchuck notices Leos' eagerness to eat monsters. Despite his desire to save his sister, Leos admits his fascination with monsters and wanting to taste them. Chilchuck suggests preparing the meal in private, but Leos argues it would waste time getting water. As Leos starts preparing the mushroom, he faces resistance from inside. Understanding its anatomy helps him plan future encounters. When sliced, the monster resembles food, but Marcel objects to boiling the scorpion, fearing its venom. Leos reassures her, citing the book's advice. Confidently, he tries the scorpion but immediately regrets it, vomiting soon after. Suddenly, a dwarf appears, criticizing their cooking method without introduction. The miniature Gordon Ramsay jumps into action, expertly slicing up the monsters. He explains that slicing them makes cooking easier and creates a tasty broth. Removing the bitter internal organs, he highlights the delicious parts, like the feet of the mushroom monster. With his own pot, he cooks the food but feels something is missing. Gathering some wall-grown plants, he suggests adding them, but Marcel refuses, wary of the cemetery's surroundings. Her worries escalate when a slime falls on her face, leaving her unable to breathe or cast spells. Senshi, the expert, saves her with just a knife, calmly explaining the slime's structure. Despite its simple appearance, Senshi reveals the slime's complex composition and hunting tactics, like sensing prey's breath. To avoid waste, he prepares to cook the slime too. Treating it with citrus juice and hot water, Senshi demonstrates his skills by drying the slime in a portable net he crafted himself. With the slime drying as he moves, Senshi proves himself a master monster chef. As they wait for the slime to dry, Senshi acts like he's hosting his own cooking show, already having some prepared for the meal. When asked if it's safe to eat, Senshi assures them it's fine, having researched monster cuisine for a decade. With all ingredients ready, Senshi gets to work, and soon a delicious-looking meal is ready. The boys are surprised by how good it looks and smells. Senshi explains that the meat contracts during cooking, making it easy to eat. Leos takes the first bite and is amazed at the taste. Chilchuk agrees, and even Marcel, initially skeptical, gives in and loves it too. Senshi reveals the pink stuff is dried slime innards, and they all enjoy the roots, actually upside-down tree trunks. As they eat, Marcel wonders about the unique algae they're consuming, but Senshi explains it's regular algae found even on the surface. Stuffed from eating, Senshi finally introduces himself as Senshi. Learning of Leo's quest to rescue his sister from a dragon, Senshi shares some knowledge about dragons' slow digestion, offering to join them, which Leos happily accepts. Senshi reveals his dream of cooking a red dragon, sparking Leo's concern about eating the creature that devoured his sister. Their journey takes them through the second basement floor, distinct from the first, known as the spire of the Golden Castle, deep underground. Fatigue sets in, evident when Marcel stumbles on a bridge, prompting Leos to seek a campsite for the night. Recalling a previous mishap while cooking soup, they reminisce about normal food, but Marcel is deterred by the memory of their earlier scorpion broth lunch. Leos suggests hunting for a monster for dinner, open to Marcel's preferences, though she struggles to think beyond regular food. Consulting his guide, Leos lists various monsters in the area, like big bats and giant rats, but Marcel rejects unsanitary options like forest goblins and living armor. Though Leos remains optimistic, suggesting they might find a monster with a ready-made meal, Senshi mentions an abundance of fruits, dashing Marcel's hopes. When the fruits Senshi mentioned turn out to be from man-eating plants, Leos clarifies that the name is misleading. He describes how one plant spreads mucus that ensnares creatures, but instead of digesting them, it turns them into compost. Marcel doubts this claim, but Chilchuk argues that if someone had been eaten, it would have been noticed during corpse retrieval in the dungeon. Realizing they must fight to pick the plants, Marcel asserts she'll handle it with a powerful spell. Senshi intervenes, preventing her from attacking and explaining his rule of only taking what's needed. Ignoring his warning, Marcel attacks, getting captured by the monster. Senshi reveals that attacking the fruit would harm the victim inside. In Marcel's panic, she accidentally hits a monster which regurgitates a corpse, enraging her. Leos points out the plant's parasitic nature, exacerbating the situation. Leos gears up to rescue Marcel, explaining the challenge of fighting plant-based monsters one by one due to their multiple limbs. He reveals the vulnerable spot, the root, and swiftly frees Marcel. Concerned, he asks how she's feeling, but Marcel is puzzled by the question. Leos then delves into his abnormal fascination with monsters, contrasting the strength of the mucus-based plant with the delicate capture method of the parasite plant. He muses about the sensation, but Marcel remains utterly confused. After gathering ingredients, Chef Senshi resumes his work. He steams the plant, removes the seeds, and softens the skin to create a crust. Mixing unripe fruit with slime and scorpion broth, he cooks the mixture, adding the remaining fruit once it bubbles. Finished, it resembles a tart, though Senshi reveals the crust is just a non-stick coating. Despite its savory nature, the boys enjoy it and urge Marcel to try. Before trying the dish, Marcel ensures there are no man-eating plants in it, though she admits using them would have enhanced the flavor. Reluctantly, she takes a bite and is shocked by its deliciousness. Noting the sweetness of the compost-type plants, she worries about their fate, realizing they're likely eaten by other animals. Leos explains that this is how carnivorous plants work. They use sweet fruit to capture prey. Impressed, Marcel ponders if the sweetness is a clever trap used by carnivorous plants, beginning to grasp the concept. Surprised by Leos' expression, she realizes he's pleased she's taking an interest in his hobby. After cleaning up, they debate reviving the corpse with magic but decide to leave it, hoping someone else will find it. They hang it to make it more visible, though Chilchuk notes it resembles an execution site. That night, Marcel has a nightmare, while Leos reads his dungeon monster food guide. Marcel dreams of happy times with her mother cooking, but it quickly turns scary as the food becomes monsters. She wakes up to the smell of breakfast, but it's not her cooking. Chilchuck tells her another group is cooking. They're eating regular food and Marcel wishes she could have pork. Senshi feels bad for them, thinking adventurers today don't care about eating right, but he admits their meals aren't perfect. He explains to Marcel that what she craves isn't pork, but fat. Marcel just doesn't want to eat monsters anymore. Senshi suggests hunting fat monsters or nutritious eggs instead. Leos brings up the basilisk, a creature with a chicken torso and a snake tail. Chilchuck tries to cheer Marcel up, but she can't see it as a chicken. Leos daydreams about basilisk meat, while the others find it odd. They find a basilisk nest and decide to take the eggs. Marcel finds the eggs weird. Suddenly, they hear screams and find other adventurers being chased by the basilisk. Marcel gets spotted, and they all run. Leos tries to scare the basilisk, but it doesn't work. Senshi and Leos attack, confusing the basilisk and defeating it. They find a poisoned adventurer, and Senshi refuses to give the antidote, planning to use it for cooking. Despite objections, he cooks a meal, and the poisoned man admits it's delicious. Marcel wants to cast a healing spell but gets distracted by the chicken leg. After a few bites, Marcel suddenly remembers she needs to use the spell, and they enjoy the rest of the meal together. When they finish, the man explains how they always face the same monsters and wants to get stronger. Senni steps forward and shares 3 rules: good nutrition, proper exercise, and enough sleep. They're impressed, and they say their goodbyes. The party continues to search for the red dragon, but Marcel struggles to keep up, slowing them down. Marcel insists she's fine and tries to help, but the party insists on an easier path for her to recover. Senshi suggests hunting mandrakes, and Marcel, claiming expertise, leads them. She explains mandrakes scream when pulled from the earth, making people go insane. Marcel's book suggests using a dog, but the party objects to harming animals. Leos suggests using a long rope instead. Marcel panics, realizing all her book's methods involve dogs. Senshi tries alone, and Marcel screams. Senshi explains cutting the mandrake's head before it screams, a method he's used for years. Marcel feels guilty for suggesting something she never tried. Marcel still wants to prove her point, but without harming animals. So she decides to use a monster instead. She ties a rope to a mandrake and sets up a trap with a bat monster. Casting a fireball, the bat gets caught, pulling out the mandrake, which starts screaming loudly. But the bat heads towards Marcel, crashing into the tower. The others rush to check on her and realize her brain has been affected by the scream. They talk to her until she recovers. They don't understand why she did it. But Marcel explains she didn't want to be a burden and wanted to show her skills. They reassure her they need her energy for the dungeon's lower floors. Leos wants her to trust them, but when Chilchuck agrees, Marcel asks for more sincerity, making him angry. Senshi is glad they got another monster, so they decide to snack. Marcel mentions the soft basilisk egg, confusing Leos, who clarifies the chicken is the tail of the snake. Senshi notices Marcel's collected mandrakes are different in color, and when they taste them, they're less bitter. Senshi learns the scream removed the bitterness and gives Marcel the nutritious mandrake head as a reward, changing her dish. As they go deeper into the dungeon, Chilchuck finds secret passages and avoids traps. Chilchuck leads the party, asking them to follow his instructions, but Senshi triggers a trap by accident. Chilchuck scolds Senshi for not paying attention and orders him to follow instructions. But Senshi deliberately activates more traps, impressed by their variety. Chilchuck explains how an oil trap works, but Senshi just thinks about frying and asks to see the oil container. Chilchuck tries to explain it's not for cooking, but Senshi insists. Chilchuck agrees but asks Senshi to leave him alone to work, respecting each other's specialties. Marcel thinks Senshi's being childish, but Leos understands the pressure he's under to keep them safe. Senshi asks Chilchuck to trigger the mechanism, and boiling oil pours into a cauldron, catching Leos. Chilchuck worries about Senshi, but he seems unfazed by the heat, realizing it's perfect for frying. Senshi suggests using other traps to help cook. Chilchuck hesitates, but Senshi trusts him, reminding him he's the trap expert. Senshi asks for help with other parts of the dish, and though Chilchuk struggles at first, he finally makes it perfectly. They enjoy the food, and Senshi thanks Chilchuk for teaching him about unconventional kitchen tools. He offers to teach Chilchuk about traps in return for what he learned about cooking, and Marcel tries it and thinks it tastes like mushrooms. Leos gets excited about other cooking methods, but finds the steamed mollusks taste like mold due to the helmet odor. They clean up. Amazed living armor is edible and a type of shellfish from eggs. The others ask Leos to stop talking nonsense, and they noticing small eyes coming out of it. He hides it from Marcel, refusing to check if it's cursed, and they proceed deeper, unaware of their new companion. They reach the third level, finding a ruined golden castle filled with undead creatures. Leos uses his sense of hearing to help avoid monsters, noting golems on the level. Marcel thinks they're inedible, but Senshi sees potential in their bodies and leads them to his base, explaining he usually hunts monsters on other levels. He believes golems' bodies are rich in nutrients. Senshi explains he's using golems like gardens because they protect plants and control moisture levels, but they need monitoring, hence his base on the third level. He leads them to the golems through a secret passage and defeats them with his shovel. Impressed, the others realize he's used to this. Senshi tells them it's time to harvest vegetables. They wonder if the vegetables are parasitic to the golems, but Senshi explains their roots strengthen the soil, creating a symbiotic relationship. They gather the vegetables, and Marcel is excited for normal food. Senshi asks them to gather weeds for fertilizer to revive the golems. Marcel realizes Senshi planted cores on the golems, explaining why he defeated them easily. She mentions it's illegal to activate magical creatures without permission, but Senshi doesn't care. Marcel leaves for the bathroom, and Senshi explains the golems will revive when seeds take root. Leos realizes Senshi has been looking after the golems out of passion. They cook the food, with Senshi preferring manual work to keep his skills sharp. They add basilisk bacon, and Marcel notes the food tastes delicious. Leos wonders if something inside the golems affects the flavor, as they're mostly soil. After the meal, Marcel notes the clean bathrooms, thinking someone must look after them. Marcel notices her companions staring at her, and she sees Senshi carrying buckets, wondering what he's doing. Senshi explains he's cleaning the bathrooms, believing the excrement will serve as effective fertilizer, and she realizes they used it on the vegetables. Leos wonders why Senshi is determined to live in the dungeon when he could have a better life on the surface. Senshi explains everyone needs him for cleaning toilets and looking after the golems. He says there are only 3 golems left, and if they die, stronger monsters on lower floors will climb up, ruining the dungeon's natural order. Eating monsters makes him happy, as he feels truly in the dungeon. Leos wonders if it's okay for him to join because the dungeon could fall into chaos, but Senshi knows the golems can survive alone and doesn't want the party to starve. They leave with the vegetables as Senshi reveals he has customers on lower floors but thinks they're busy. He harvested the vegetables to avoid leaving the garden idle, and Chuck suggests selling them on the 3rd level. They enter a strange shop full of adventurers who can't return to the surface. The shopkeeper offers to trade, but when Leos tries selling vegetables, the shopkeeper insists on coins and orders the guard to remove them. Suddenly, orcs arrive, slaughtering everyone. Leos wonders why they're there, knowing orcs should be on lower floors. The orc leader takes the vegetables, revealing the orcs are his customers. Zahn mentions the red dragon threatening their village, so they retreated to the 3rd level. Leos asks where it is, but Zan refuses to tell, not wanting to expose their village's location. The orcs salute the shop, as Zan tells Senshi they need food to survive, demanding he give them the vegetables for free. Senshi agrees under the condition they allow his party to stay at their camp, causing confusion. The party joins the orcs, questioning Senshi's decision, fearing it could get them killed. Senshi explains the orcs have ingredients for bread, upsetting the party as they feel their lives are at risk. At the camp, Senshi urges Zan to give him the ingredients and teaches the party to make bread. Zan explains the orcs were forced into the dungeon after being hunted by humans and elves, while Marcel counters that the orcs raided villages, leading to tension. Senshi cooks the bread as Zan reveals the castle's legend, where defeating the wizard makes one ruler. Zahn doubts Leos's intentions, but Marcel challenges Zan to rule the castle, sparking an argument. Senshi finishes the bread and Zan hesitates before allowing the party to eat. Marcel insists bread is best enjoyed with other food, and Senshi reminds Zan of their deal. Reluctantly, Zan orders food preparation. They enjoy the meal, Marcel praising the orcs for their cooking. Leos tells Zan about his sister eaten by the red dragon and asks for its location, promising to keep the orc village safe. Zan agrees, wishing them luck. The party continues their journey, leaving vegetables to the orcs, showing their improved relationship as the video ends.